Hey everyone, good to have you with us. It is sunny outside, is it not? Ronan Mullins, hello.
Hi Joe.
Conán Doherty, hello to you.
Hello, fellas.
How about this weather, huh? It's good. Enjoy it, everyone. It sort of feels like it's here to stay now. I feel like it's just feel like summer.
You're getting used to it.
Yeah. So we've lots going on. There is a rugby episode in your feed, Munster fans. Fear not. Mick Galway leading Zombie on a forklift in La Rochelle was not a fever dream. It was real. And we talk about it with Ian Madigan and Rory O'Connor, who was there in La Rochelle and in Bordeaux for the Independent over the weekend. So that is waiting for you, courtesy of our friends at Energia. Elsewhere, we will have Rory McIlroy at Augusta tomorrow morning, of course, speaking to the press. Conor McKeown will be there. He'll be in the room and he'll check in with us afterwards to talk about his first 24 hours on the property. Brandel Chambly is also in your feed. He's exceptionally good, I would say. Several messages across the weekend from hardcore golfing types to say, geez, he's good. He was very good. If you're a golfing man or woman.
Hardcore golfing types.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Several of them message me.
Is he the Ian Madigan of the golfing world?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Yeah, you could go with that. Yeah, a very good technical analysis of the swing. But also there's a kind of verbosity, if that's not too ironic a word to use, to his, like, I mean, he's an eloquent man.
Yeah.
He was just good all round. Yeah, he was great. If you like your golf, he was good. So they're all waiting for you in your feed, and we'll have more Masters coverage across the week. Everybody good? Happy?
Great, yeah. See, you got your Masters colours on.
Yeah, I was saying to you, I'm going to wear kind of pastel colours for the week. It is very nice it's here. I think it's my favourite sporting event of the year.
Of the whole year?
I think if I had to lose something, it'd be the last thing I'd want to go from my calendar.
Yeah. Ronan?
That's a very tough question.
Yes or no?
It is a very tough question. And you could hit me with something else and I'd say, well, no, I couldn't lose that.
Yeah.
But I do remember COVID when the hits kept coming with things that were cancelled, and it was when I heard the Masters was gone.
Well,
I remember banging the steering wheel saying, nah, come on.
No, it's hit me.
Now it's real.
Yeah, I remember the December when things got locked down again, but the sport opened up, and I was like, oh, this is perfect. Do you know the All-Ireland Football Championships on December? Lock me down, I am happy out here.
Which December? December 20?
Yeah.
For the Masters, are you like Will Slattery in rugby? Are you above the fray?
A little bit, yeah. I'm
So
not.
you can enjoy the Masters irrespective of who the winners or who the runners and riders are.
Yes.
Whereas I think a lot of sports, like I look forward to Champions League final or All-Ireland football final, Munster hurling final, but like maybe except the latter, it's kind of dependent on who's in it or my vested interest. Whereas with the Masters, you can probably just enjoy it for what it is.
Totally.
So that sets it apart, I think, as an event.
Yeah. So, well, that'll be a theme of the week later on. I don't know, will we do a big Masters preview? Such will be with Conor across the week, and Brandel Chambly's there for you. That's the one, kind of in a way, to listen to. So, do that maybe at your leisure. We'll see what we muster up. Of the weekend, so I guess we should look back on the weekend that was. The Grand National happened, of course. Yet again, Irish success. Yet again, very happy Willie Mullins. Though especially happy because his son was on board. So it was very kind of special reaction from Mullins, who's just so composed usually. Nick Rocket was the horse.
It's a great name.
Tricky. As you said, you were watching, you thought he was the jockey. So
Yeah.
Nick Rocket is the horse. Mullins, by the way, had 4 of the first 5. This is the extent of his dominance. This is a lot now. So, I Am Maximus was second, who won last year. Grange Clare West and Meeting of the Waters, all in the top 5. He was kind of not in the trainers' championship. He hadn't really prioritised it early on, and Dan Skelton was miles ahead. But now with 4 of the first 5, he takes the lion's share of the £1 million in prize money. He's now odds on to keep the title. But for him, the thing was his son. So he emulates Ted Walsh and Tommy Carberry in winning the National. And afterwards, again, for a guy who's so composed after winning so many different races, he was not composed. So here is Grand National winning trainer Willie Mullins.
You've done most things in sport. You're champion of Britain, you're champion of Ireland, but even you appear to need to pinch yourself about this.
Yeah, well, to be able to leg your son.
Willie, take a moment. Tell us the emotion that's going through now. Why does this mean so much to you? Patrick, the winning owners.
It's lovely to be able to give your son a ride in the last time, but I should be able to win it. Just unbelievable.
We'll come back in a minute, Willie. Yeah. Willie Mullins. Wow.
So Matt Chapman there, kind of.
Yeah.
You know.
And I saw the Aintree account put up a video subsequently, which was more of like a mix zone type vibe, and he had like maybe a bit more composure and wasn't just fresh in the emotion of it all. And Willie Mullins was like, "This is the best day ever."
Yeah.
And like in the grand scheme of all that he's achieved, like, and it stands to reason, it makes perfect sense that when you distill it all down, that's about as special as it gets. Like, can you imagine? Must be amazing. So, yeah, and I think the Willie Mullins were almost complacent in how incredible. Like, you just reeled it off there, like a 1, 2, 3, 5 in the Grand National. It's like, it's absurd. Like, I know there's other factors at play there, and the Irish dominance at large. We teased it out pre-Cheltenham, but even in isolation, like if you strip all that other stuff back and just look at Willie Mullins, the individual, it's phenomenal.
I've never seen him that emotional. I think this is the summit for me, he said when he had regained his composure. I don't think it can get any better than this. Now I know how Ted Walsh felt. I never thought I'd have that feeling, but here we are. So that was one of the success stories of the weekend in the Grand National. We had, we'll come to the GA in a moment. We had Manchester Derby yesterday. What a disgrace of a football. I think it's because the weather was so nice. I felt around an hour in when you realised, oh God, this is going to finish 0-0.
Yeah.
This isn't going to get any better. Yeah. That was when I had peak frustration that I'd given up these, precious few sunshine hours. So 0-0. I don't know. Gary Neville apologised for his
I've never heard that before.
co-commentary on Sky Sports afterwards. Even I was bad.
Yeah, and I have to. And
No, that was me 8 out of 10.
and I have to apologise. He said it was great.
I was flat.
Yeah.
It was flat.
I do like.
Bad.
I do. This happens in boxing a lot, where commentators cotton onto something in like the first 2 or 3 rounds, and then that's just their storyline for the whole fight, irrespective of what's happening in front of them. So I just felt like it could have turned into a 2-2 thriller at the end, and Gary Neville was still being like, "Yeah, but they're stuck in there. They're miserable tactics. Tactics have ruined our beautiful game." That was his thread line for the whole thing.
It was. They seemed to match up tactically, and then none of the individuals could spark something to break the deadlock. That was sort of the story of the game. But there was no intensity to it either. Like, there was no great pressing or ferocity to tackling. Like Manchester United just, we've seen Ireland do it at their worst. I mean, they're progressive. We have wing-backs we have a back four. And we have 4 midfielders, or 3 certainly, and the odd time 2 up top. But really, we're a low block, 5 at the back, crowd the middle, and that's it. And City went kind of a diamond, we're crowded in the middle. And neither of their fullbacks really got forward either. And it was just a very low energy for 90 minutes, which was very unenjoyable.
Well, Mateus Nunes from right back, Joe, he's not allowed to get involved in midfield.
Yeah, he's not clever enough.
Not
creative
not
enough.
sophisticated enough.
Yeah, so Pep said he's not clever enough, and lacks the composure to get forward into midfield.
Unbelievable.
Ouch.
Yeah. Like, why did they buy him?
This is the frustrating.
So Man City do this thing where they just stockpile players, and I think, like, essentially because other teams want them. So, like, Calvin Phillips was being linked with everybody. Man City had the means and they just got him, didn't play him. Mateus Nunes is only getting a game at fullback because he was playing great stuff in midfield and then just doesn't feature there. And then Jack Grealish is like the pièce de résistance, where he clearly wasn't the profile that Pep wanted. They spent £100 million on him. And again, it was because Man United were in for him, Liverpool were in for him, and City just thought, well, we can have him and they can't. And it does seem like just the way these things play out, that it's just a mad thing to spend upwards of 50 million on somebody and never play them in their correct position.
Yeah, it's strange. Did you notice when Foden went down injured, the Casemiro tackle on his ankle? And I think Savino's on the bench and somebody else on the bench. They both got up to start warming up Doku. Grealish didn't even go through with the pretense that he was going to get on. He just sat there. I thought it was a very sad moment.
Yeah.
The other two thought, something might be on here. Like I kind of a dribbling, attacking player of ours has gone down injured. Jack Grealish thought, well, that's not me. Nothing to do with me. I thought that was a really telling moment.
Yeah, and that's players who were bought after him, bought in the same position as him, and he's just accepted that he's far down the pecking order. He started one game this calendar year. Like, that's sad, and he is obviously the poster boy for it. And I think that's sort of what's great in Neville as well. Then when you see these players coming together, like, it's almost like we're afraid to criticise Pep Guardiola. We're allowed to do it as well. Like, it is annoying when you take these players and get them to play so robotically for you. And in a game like that, then if you're met with robots, it's like, well, we just stalemate and we leave it there.
You know, I was thinking it was actually the way Neville was talking yesterday was very interesting. There was a parallel with how we've talked about the GAA Football Championship. And Neville's point was, well, we had someone do it really, really well. Pep, the manager, those players at their best.
Yeah.
And he said, what's happened to football, again, parallel with GAA, is we're seeing a lot of poor imitations, other teams, and it's really dull to watch. And now Pep doesn't have the tools he once had, so even his version is a fairly poor version of everybody robotically in their place. This has been bubbling away with Neville for a while. Do you remember that watch along they did a goodbye?
Arsenal, was it?
Yeah, and United were involved as well. There were a few different games
Arsenal,
on.
Yeah.
And quite a few times, again, this is of course across the course of a 2-hour thing, he would like throw his hands up and say, "Why?" Imagine it's to use our poster boy here. Say it's Grealish in a 1-on-1 situation, and Neville would, why is he not taking him on there?
Yeah.
He checked back and recycled it. Like for what? You've just engineered the 1-on-1. That's been the whole point of all the 20 passes before that, and now you're not taking him on. So I'm not surprised he's kind of reached this point yesterday at Old Trafford where he said, I'm done with this. This is just, the life has been sucked out of individuals. I don't know if I entirely agree with him. I think week on week we see lots of individuals expressing themselves in the league. We see lots of brilliant technicians in the league. I don't think it's as big a problem as he's saying. It was an aspect to yesterday. I also think just yesterday was bad players in the main, Bruno Fernandes aside in red, and then a City team just nowhere near. Like De Bruyne couldn't run. You know, he was a shadow of himself. They couldn't press. They're missing a lot of players. They're at the end of a cycle. I think it was more that than, we have a problem with our football a la GAA. You know, it didn't strike me as... It doesn't stack up when you look across the board. I think, you know, I don't know if you saw the game an hour before that, Gary, but it was 3-2 at Fulham against Liverpool. It was amazing. So I don't think it's this thing that's infected the Premier League to the extent he's claiming.
So we're not going to get into a rule change discussion yet, or a Premier League structure chat, but I actually think the impetus still, even though they are weakened and their motivation's obviously down, but Man City have a better team. Like, just go and... I think this is where Pep sees Man United as Man United rather than this team that we're better than. Just go beat them. And for him, it's like, we can't lose this the way we're going. A draw here would be fine, and both teams play that out, and it's not nice. And yeah, the way we're talking about Grealish as the example, saw a story that, you know, Pep is hot for Morgan Rogers now as well. And again, you're like, why? I mean, everything he does well is not what Pep wants. Exactly what you would have said before Jack Grealish signed at Man City as well. And players should be more wary of this as well. I know it's a big opportunity to go play under the most successful manager, and it is exciting, but you have to think about what he's going to do to you as a footballer.
To be fair, the counterweight to Grealish is Doku, so he hasn't tried to take the football out of Doku. I just think Grealish, I mean, it could be off the pitch stuff as well. Yeah. Who knows? He just, and I think maybe Grealish probably is very conscious of what Guardiola thinks. I always sense Grealish is thinking a lot when he's on the pitch, and not in a good way, and in a self-conscious kind of way. Pep has let Doku do his thing and continue to do his thing. It's just a bad game where nobody was... Bruno was very good. Ever since Roy Keane destroyed him, he's been on fire.
Even prior to that, like that was cheap from Roy Keane. Like I think short of Bruno Fernandes, and it's almost tried to say like where would United be because they're almost in relegation form regardless. But he's like the only touch of class in that side on a recurring basis, and it's like the Michael Murphy thing we used to say where you actually need him in like 3 or 4 positions. You need him sitting in front of the back four to receive the ball because he's the only one who can turn on the half turn. Like that was. Casemiro and Ugarte seemed incapable of doing that yesterday. Ugarte in particular, you know, not red flags too early. You need to give him like maybe a second season to fully judge him. But like PSG were happy enough to to let him go, and you can see how vibrant and, exciting that midfield they have is. So, yeah, I'm not sure if he's going to be the answer for Man United either.
Yeah. Well, United's fullbacks aren't good enough for that system. They need another 2. Bruno Fernandes is in there, and then their front 3, like Højlund, it's really not happening. And Garnacho looks shot, doesn't he? He got a lot of criticism after the game at the City Ground. His stats are terrible. He looks like he's zero confidence at the moment. He's 20. That's the only thing in his favour at the moment.
I saw someone saying that he's looking like he's going to be the next Januzaj rather than the next Ronaldo. Whether he was ever going to hit the heady heights of Ronaldo, well, that's a big ask regardless. Yeah. But if he was ever going to pitch in that middle ground between those two that I mentioned,
Nani.
Yeah, like even if he was Nani, that would be tremendous. But yeah, the problem with him is decision making is chronic, like really bad. On the plus side, he gets himself into these positions so regularly, so he's obviously doing something right.
Yeah.
So, because you can't say that about every attacking player. Like, even he's going through the worst rut of his career so far, and he's still arguably the most involved Man United player in every game you watch. Like against Forest, it was infuriating.
Yeah, it was bad.
Like, it's
6 shots.
It's as if if you press pause, you're like, what's the correct decision here? He'd take option 5 or 6. Like it was, and we mentioned the other day, like Patrick Dorga is just running up and down the touchline for leisure. Like he's not getting the ball.
No. So look, they're still pretty abject, is the truth, Manchester United. And there was a degree with 10, 15 minutes to go of both sides saying, do you know what? Okay, let's not inflict harm on ourselves here. Pep Guardiola afterwards was asked about the chants aimed at Phil Foden's mother. I not really repeat them. They're kind of general grim chants about someone's mother. So here was Pep on that.
What the chants to him? Lack of class. But it's not United, it's the people, The people we are so exposed. The people who's now in the screen, in the world football, managers, owners, and football players especially, is honestly, I don't know, understanding the mind of the people, be involved, the man from field, be involved in that. So it's lack of category, class, and they should be ashamed. But it's what it is. So it's happening everywhere, I would say, not just in UK, in everywhere.
Kind of sums it up quite well, really.
Oh yeah, that'll quieten them down next time.
What does he mean? It's not United, it's the people.
Well, he's saying it's not the institution.
What would that be? Like Joel Glazer or Jason Wilcox or something? Like it is Man United. It's the fans. Like
it's the plebs. He was saying
it's Old Trafford at large. It's what other vocal offering is there ever going to be from a football club than the fans?
Yeah, but I suppose he's saying clearly the players and management. No, they're not encouraging this from the fans. They're not in any way kind of giving a tacit. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, but I feel like he's basically saying it is like he. So he's just calling out the fans.
Yeah, all fans. He's saying it's not specific to those fans. It's just a grim aspect of football culture.
Okay.
It is. I feel like you're kind of you were like, oh, you take a step back. What they're singing about his mum.
I think he's having a dig at
you, though. Sorry.
These adults.
I'm not having to go with Pep here at all. Like, obviously what he's saying is right. I'm just like, would he have been better just saying, why are you asking me this?
Maybe.
I think, what, all you're doing actually is bringing more attention to it. I didn't hear the chance.
It's true. I didn't know about it either. So, I mean, Phil Foden, get used to it.
Yeah, that's exactly
it. Unfortunately, the truth. Elsewhere, Fulham beat Liverpool 3-2. That's their Liverpool's 26-game unbeaten Premier League run brought to an end. They're still 11 points clear of Arsenal, who, of course, are just in no position to mount any kind of challenge. There is much talk of Andy Robertson. He gave the ball away terribly for one of the goals, and then it nicked in off him as well for an OG, which is more unfortunate than a bad mistake. But the crossfield ball was poor. Canade was very poor as well. The point on Robertson, so defensively he's really struggled this year. Just one-on-ones, he's having a tough time. But an amazing stat is that across 2 years, 21 to 23, he had 26 assists across 2 years. In his last 41 appearances, Andy Robertson, 1 assist.
Wow.
You'd think of him at his marauding best, And then it's just, Arne Slot plays differently and there's more underlaps than overlap. Park all that for a second. Yeah. Andy Robertson, 1 assist, and defensively not going brilliantly for him. So 31 years of age, it just seems a bit premature. Like, he's not heavy set. Everyone's kind of, Carragher would be very strong. Need a new left back. It's over. And I kind of thought, at 31, it could. Are we sure it's not a dip? Like, if he was 24, we wouldn't say it's over. Why are we so sure it's over? But everyone seems dead sure it's over at 31. He's definitely having a dip. I just don't know. Are we so sure it's terminal?
Isn't he almost a good counter to the people who would criticise Trent? Like, Trent's 1 season away from that. It's over. Get rid of him. Get a new right back in. If we're going to compete, we need somebody different in here. And Andy Robertson's been such a servant. And this is the thing. It's hard to remember it now because when you do stay that 1 year longer, and it is mad to 31, but that's what you're sort of thinking of now as him as a player.
But his legs can't be gone.
I know, but and he was this dynamic, he was brilliant one-on-one defender.
Yeah.
And it was him and Trent, that was the duo. It was Robertson and Trent. It was never just Trent. It was these fullbacks are deadly.
Yeah.
Get both of them in your fantasy team.
Yeah.
They're both taking corners, both getting forward, and both so important under the Klopp system, albeit. But this isn't the system that has his legs gone. If anything, the system should be protecting his legs and giving him more energy for the season. But it's mad to see how quickly it happened.
Yeah, if he was 34, 35, I'd absolutely buy it. It just seems.
Yeah. And he was so dynamic. There was a yin and yang to the Robertson Trent combo in its heyday, because you would never describe Trent as a hard runner.
No.
But Robertson very much was. So they were getting their equal assists more or less, but in very different ways.
Yeah.
And I remember Steve Bruce, when Robertson was at Hull City, being like, this lad is a machine. He's just up and down the wing. And then they got relegated, and sometimes players just drift out to sea. But the Liverpool stats department wouldn't have needed to look at Andy Robertson very long to know that that's potentially someone that could work in the Klopp system. And his career has been a revelation. So this is it. It's not the end of the world. But on the 31 point, when it goes, it really goes. Fabinho, he was in his late 20s, and he just ceased to be a relevant player in that team. And, they probably held on to a couple of players too long, and they probably don't want to do that again.
Well, I guess there's that old football wisdom is you have a certain amount of miles in the clock. And if you start young, you'll finish young. And, Andy Robertson's done some hard running.
Yeah.
Day in, day out. So
leave the football before the football leaves you, Joe. Yeah. What Jamie Carragher always says.
Virgil van Dijk, by the way, was talking about his contract after the game. He said, there is progress. Yes. The follow-up was, so you're signing? I don't know. We'll see.
It's April. There'd want to be progress.
Make it stop. Darragh O'Shea was very, very good for Ipswich, by the way. He's been in great form for them. He has managed 24 clearances, blocked 7 shots in his last 2 games. 24 clearances, 7 shots blocked, and an assist at the weekend. However, Ipswich will be going down. They are 12 points behind Wolves now, and Southampton are gone. They've pipped Derby County, who had been previously the earliest team to go down. So 7 matches remaining, Southampton go. Derby went down with 6 matches remaining. Although that Derby side of 08 only managed 11 points in the campaign, whereas Southampton are on 10 with games to go. So I reckon they can. They've just sacked their manager, Ivan Juric, which,
Did you know he was there?
Not really. I knew Russell Martin, who was like, we're not changing. It's going really well after they lost 6-0. I knew he was gone. Juric, they've lost 6 of their last 7, so they got rid of him. Suffice to say, fellas, to put a bow on all that, we've reached a grim point where relegation is sorted, the league title is sorted. The most interesting thing now is the race for Europe.
What's wrong with that?
Jesus.
That's a great aspect of the league.
God.
And so many interesting, different, competitive teams going for that as well.
I'm out. Actually out. I don't
This is
care.
the problem. We just need Man City relentlessly charging at the top of the league, and hopefully Liverpool can keep pace with them. Otherwise, we're not interested.
I can't. If you're interested, Conán, Chelsea are on 53, City 52, Villa 51. But coming up on the outside, Newcastle are 3 points back, but they've 2 games in hand. So if they win their 2, they're in 4th, 3 clear of the rest.
Forest 57, don't you think that they're home and hose yet?
No, fair point. I don't think it's uninteresting, but I don't think it's going to get me to late May.
What people do want, Conán excluded, is the Man United versus Tottenham slow bicycle race to the Europa League final, and which one of those is going to take a coveted and well-earned Champions League spot from the lower reaches of the Premier League?
Yeah, well, that's where we are there. United have Lyon on Thursday.
Thursday.
Spurs have.
Ooh, I don't know.
Villa PSG Wednesday. Forget about
Well,
Spurs United.
He doesn't look down. He only looks up.
League of Ireland. So we're still kind of, I think, in the positioning phase. It's a long season. You have Drogheda top all the way down to Pat's second, Galway third, Shells fourth, and Rovers fifth. There are 4 points between first and fifth after 8 games. So we're kind of easing our way in. Pats and Shells at Richmond Park was 0-0. Highest attendance there in 20 years. We're turning people away, said Stephen Kenny. So Richmond can hold 5,000 with 2,800 seated. Kenny was saying if we had 12,000 seats, that'd be kind of what we need. It obviously didn't live up to the last time they played that 3-2 classic. That was one of our first weeks.
Yeah.
We talked about that the day where we played a Paul O'Connell interview, and we did 12 minutes with Sean in here before.
Right.
You see, I remember the first week better than I remember last week.
Yeah.
That's how life works.
Did we put that before the Paul O'Connell?
Yeah.
Wow.
Again, we were like, should we, shouldn't we?
Bumper podcast.
Yeah.
It was all retention rate back then. That's all I remember.
Obsessed, yeah. Whether should we split Paul O'Connell in two? No, just throw it up. So they were kind of both happy-ish to take point as full-time came into view. Duff afterwards on TV started by wishing his mum a happy birthday. The party was ongoing. He said she'll be a few glasses in by now. So that was the football. It's kind of a meh weekend. Is that the gist? I tell you where it's not meh is Cork.
Oof. Far from me.
Cork is cooking. First hurling league title in 27 years. I know your instinct there, Conán, to say what? Back in the 70s? No, 1998.
Don't do that to me.
27 years ago. So they beat Tipperary in front of 43,000 at Porky Queeve, 324 to 23 points. It was kind of nip and tuck for the first 20. Lead exchanged a few times, and then Cork had a 15-minute blitz where they scored goals and took Tipperary apart, and the game was over at halftime. A 16-point deficit at halftime, even in hurling. That was kind of done. Second half, it's kind of a ticking over exercise. Pat Ryan emptied the bench. Like, there's a couple of scary things about them. They have goals in the team. That's 16 goals in their last 4 games. There was kind of you couldn't say it about Limerick, who would equally beat you by scoring 30 points or 35 points. Kilkenny, the great Kilkenny side, killed you with goals, and goals at crucial times, and goals in quick succession. And Cork have that habit at the moment, with 16 goals in their last 4. I've seen the points made in various pieces of analysis. Their full forward line, very high up. They pull their half forward line way out. That's a lot of space, and we sort of back ourselves. Our few are better than your few in a kind of tussle. So they're scoring goals, and I guess the big difference with Cork teams of the last kind of decade plus, much maligned Cork teams, is this side is strong, physical, bravery and attitude was questioned. Other teams has like a spine. You can't come out and bully our better hurlers anymore. Which leads everybody, as they head to Ennis for the first day in the championship in just over 10 days time, 12 days time, it leads everybody to say Cork are this year's team to beat.
Yeah, because you've already gone to Ennis and really put down a marker there. He scored 5 goals that day against Clare, and they were going in there thinking, we're putting right the All-Ireland final, we're putting down a statement, and they ripped them apart. And doing exactly what they've been doing all this season is that full forward line, catching the ball, putting their heads down and just driving towards the goals. Like, the first thing they're doing is taking 10 steps and sprinting all the way into goals. And if they don't do it, they've got a serious bench coming in as well.
Serious bench.
Oh, it's crazy. But
win 3 All-Ireland under-20s not in a row, but was it in a row? Don't know, was it in a row? Maybe it wasn't, but they've won 3 obviously in the last number of years. That's obviously produced a serious conveyor belt.
And serious momentum now as well. Like, obviously the scenes last year, after the Limerick game, and there was something happening there, and they get all the way to the final, and now winning the league title. Beating Clare first, then winning the league title, the pitch invasion. Only drawback yesterday, and there's so much going on. Yes, TG Cahir with the overhead camera angle was amazing. Like, there needs to be more of that. Like, just the aerial view of it was so high. It was brilliant. And then they had this sort of soft focus shot that you would see in the Premier League down on the sideline. It was just real top quality stuff, and different than what we've been used to in the GA. But the only drawback was that they had a double header, which they didn't need for a game like that. And what happens when it's a one-sided game, like you're talking about, Offaly and Waterford, seen enough. And then by the second half, the place is half empty.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
Pat Ryan's not getting too carried away with things. He said, "That's probably the worst half of hurling the lads have delivered since my time here." In the second half, so it's just like the first half was good.
Don't even try and pull that one.
Yeah, it's like
Don't even try and pull that one.
even the journalists were like reluctantly writing that down. They were like, "Oh God."
Yeah. What prompted the less intense second half performance with your 16-point lead at half time, Pat?
But like you remember Waterford when they won the league under Liam Cahill, and it was like literally those headlines. Everybody was saying in podcast, Waterford the team to beat. They're all Ireland favourites, and this is in the midst of Limerick's incredible run. And then they didn't get out of Munster.
No, they burnt themselves out, it seemed almost.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect that to happen to Cork just the way they're currently playing. But you would have said the same thing about Waterford. The point I'm getting to is Cork have enough about them in the way you guys have outlined there that it's unlikely that they're going to falter to that extent. But it's not as if the best team in April is nailed on to win the All-Ireland.
No, I hear you. I guess it helps that they were the second best team
Absolutely.
last year.
And the way they beat Limerick as well, you know, it's to beat the champ, you got to beat the champ, and you know that All Ireland final could have gone either way ultimately, but they really dispatched them in impressive fashion. And if there's a mantle to be seized, like they're in place.
Yeah. Do you go in for this like GA needs a strong Cork, you know, they need something?
I don't know if it needs it, but it's nice. I definitely went for it with the Dublin thing, and that's created a monster then as well. Like,
everyone said that about Dublin football, yeah.
Yeah, like I agree. Like, yeah, give them more money. Let's get GA strong in the capital. And then it's like, oh, didn't see that one coming.
Yeah. I guess everyone has a soft spot for that 04-05 team.
Mm.
I don't know. It's hard to know if the same characters. The helmets is a big...
yeah. Personnel-wise, yeah.
Why don't RTE or TG Carr or whoever...
picks.
Yeah.
It would make sense, wouldn't it?
It's just like the NFL have managed it for, 50 years. When someone knocks over a score, they're just put their picture up.
Yeah.
I don't know what any of them look like.
Yeah.
Honestly. There's a few times in Off the Ball where I've like looking forward to, I'm not going to name someone because it might seem to, but like they come in and I'm like, it's only because I Googled you 15 minutes ago. I know what you look like.
It's different in a match program.
Yeah. Like, obviously, the high profile ones, of course you do. But like, there's so many that are just names to you and body shapes and the colour of their helmet.
And do you think that affects the wider viewership then?
Big time. Well, I put it to you this way. When I mentioned that Cork team of 20 years ago now, the players you'll remember most vividly
Sean O'Gallagher
had no helmets on. Or if I say to you, Waterford, you see straight away John Milan, big red head in him. You don't see
Paul Flynn.
Yeah, but lads with helmets, not the same. So yeah, it's a big thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Just on the helmets thing, I saw Francis Keogh from BBC was tweeting about Patrick Mullins, who we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Just a quote from an article a few years ago. What is the strangest / funniest thing you've ever seen on a racecourse? Queuing to get into Cheltenham one November, I was chatting to a randomer in the line. I asked him what he fancied in the cross-country race. He replied, I'd fancy that Uncle Junior, but that bleep Mullins is riding him. I smiled and said nothing as he elaborated on why he thought that the horse won. So yeah, it doesn't just exist in hurling.
No. The football then. So, I don't know. I guess people know generally the results at this stage. We'll come to Donegal in a moment. Conán in Leinster, Meath beat Carlow. Still no one revealing anything about what happened.
Robbie Brennan doesn't even know what happened. God love him.
It's a strange situation. The rumours about this situation are just too juicy. Wicklow beat Longford. In Connacht then we had Galway going to New York, 3 goals, 28. We had Roscommon going to Ruislip. Mayo only beating Sligo by 3 in McHale Park. Laois beat Wexford in Leinster. Tipperary beat Waterford. Cork beat Limerick. And then Donegal 125, Derry 115. 10-point win. There was a moment start of the second half when you realised Donegal had the win in the first half and Derry knocked over a couple of 2-pointers. Oh my God, I've seen this match before in the National League a few times. I know what happens with the wind. And then Donegal quickly quashed that and won by 10 points in the end. So like not an embarrassment for Derry, not oh okay.
I would say
an embarrassment for Derry.
I would say that is hurtful, that this great Derry team, and it is a great Derry team relative to Derry's success of the past.
I'll allow that with huge qualification. Overuse of the word great.
That, losing 10 points to their rivals Donegal is not an embarrassment, and when they were such hot favourites 12 months ago, not even a full 12 months ago. So that is hard to take. And I think the most disappointing thing is how inevitable it all was. We said this on Friday. We knew what was going to happen. We knew McGuinness wouldn't be having their goalkeeper wandering around out the pitch, leaving an empty net. We knew he wouldn't do anything stupid. They would do basics, do them really well. They'd be fitter, more organised. And he would have told them exactly how this game would go, and that's how it went. And I mean, the confidence they'll get off that now as well, Donegal, because our manager told us how this would go, and this is how exactly it went. But they look in good shape. Like Derry are a bit of a mess. They rise it a little, but I think the really disappointing thing. Do you know the way I love a sports film, and I love the speeches. I think I realised watching that match, any given Sunday speech is bullshit. Do you know? Like you have to have the work done.
You're a broken man.
Yeah, I know. This is what that match did to me. Like, you can't just get a team together. Like, what was the Miami Sharks? Is that the team in any given Sunday?
A group of ragtag.
Yeah,
misfits.
and just give them a rousing speech and say, we need to come together right now. This is it right now. Look each other in the eye and go out there and believe. It doesn't work like that. You have to have the work done for the last 2 years. You have to be doing it every night. Habits. Jim McGuinness isn't leaving one session out. Like, every single session they do, they're making the most out of it. And when you don't have that, there's an inevitability. Like, you have to have the work done. And it felt like even before the match, it was too late. Derry didn't have the work done.
Yeah. Yeah. Darragh O'Bwill was very good. Took his goal beautifully.
Oh, yeah.
Some lovely long range kicking from Donegal. Donegal, some lovely point takers. Murphy, very acceptable start. A lot of hype about Michael Murphy. He was good. McBrearty was good. How impressed were you with Donegal?
Very.
Very.
Yeah. Like, there's going to be talk about them sitting in deep, and they were sitting very deep, and they were letting Derry hold the ball. If Derry wanted, they actually could have held the ball for the entire first half.
Yeah.
And they would have ran the clock down and got to play with the wind in. But obviously that doesn't always happen. And I mean, Jim McGuinness again probably knows that's not going to happen. But when Donegal had the ball, they were fast, sharp, direct. Like, it was just going straight for goal, and how easily they cut through Derry. Like, Derry were a bit more peripheral and pedestrian, and you would have thought after the first, and Derry missed chances, missed a penalty, and you're thinking they did all right against the wind there. But then Donegal came out, and they, in the space of 6 minutes, they had scored the same amount of scores that Derry scored in that entire first half against the wind. Like, Donegal managed that way more easily, and they just look more cohesive. Oisín Gallen's on the bench, and I think he's the best forward.
What do you think is the crack there?
I think just he loves Murphy and McBrearty, and you can't.
But do you think if that was an All-Ireland semi-final, he's picking the...
I don't know. If it was me, I'd certainly be picking Oisín Gallen. I think he should be the first forward on the team sheet, but I think... and again, it's hard to sort of make a case against Murphy and McBrearty, but he obviously maybe thinks them as leaders, them what they symbolise to the team and the experience they've given Donegal, like he's just going to play them. But it's mad that you've one of the best forwards in the country just coming off the bench for Donegal.
Maybe he's not fully fit. Like it's not.
But then Patrick McBrearty was carrying a knock, and he was only cleared to play on Tuesday, and then he bombed him straight in. It's interesting.
All right, retract that then.
No, but to that point, that I think when the chips are down, it's going to be hard for McGuinness to look past the people who've done it for him, and done it for him to the nth degree. Oisín Gallen was an all-star last year. He was arguably the best forward in the country. So I, from my rudimentary point of view, would be picking him. But it's hard to argue with Jim McGuinness. And you mentioned Darragh O'Bwill there, who's came through as a very prosperous, silky player. But they're not to say a dime a dozen, because that seems dismissive, but there's silky players in most counties, but what Jim McGuinness has kind of transformed him into a bit of an athletic freak as well.
Steel.
He's banging points over there.
4 curlers, steel.
He's almost like a cert for a 2-pointer, which is has become the revered skill in the game.
Well, he hit an especially beautiful one, high, curling in. For a marquee forward who takes penalties, admittedly a lefty, I thought McGuigan's...
what does admittedly a lefty mean?
The left footer shouldn't take penalties.
Because...
My dad always says that. What does that even mean?
No, sorry.
I'm a left footer. I have a great record.
Joe, I get what you're saying.
No. A lefty, his touch on his right foot, the rebound...
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Was truly disappointing.
I don't know what he...
No, it was like...
Yeah, no, you're
oh my
right.
God. Because you usually think, you just look at him, McGuigan, penalty taker, you're like, you're waiting for the commentator to say, of course, he played a bit of soccer in his youth as well. McGuigan didn't.
I don't know why he didn't put it in. He tried to touch it, the touch wasn't good, and he got away from him.
It's something you'd see at a bad Astro match.
He should have just put it straight in with his right foot. It was strange. Obviously, he should have just scored as well. But like we say, Ronan, left footers shouldn't take penalties.
It's outrageous.
Unless you Gareth Barry.
Defamation.
Left footers should take penalties.
But sorry, and just finally, Dara Wheel is somebody who, like, he's a perfect example of what McGuinness probably doesn't get enough credit for. I mean, just taking players like this and elevating them. Obviously, he gets the team going and he gets them buying in, and his systems are obviously slick and effective. But the way he gets the most out of players, like Dara Wheel, everybody would have remembered him coming through that club championship run that Guidor went on when they beat Crossmaglen and got to the All-Ireland semi-final, and he was brilliant. He was really fit, good footballer, as Ronan said, but he came through under Declan Bonner, and I remember thinking, just physically maybe this game at county level is too fast for him. And now you look at him and he's an athletic freak guy. Like he looks like the best specimen out there, and because of that, it's coming so easily for him. Like, he should be man-marked now, and this is in the space of Jim McGuinness only being there a year and a half.
It's the cult of McGuinness. He's just so interesting. I always remember from his book there was a player, maybe like an Whale, that they were building up. And you might remember from the book, he was training so hard, so many, every day.
Ryan
week,
Bradley,
probably.
maybe, wing forward.
But the advice was, also, we're now working you so hard, you just can't get the calories in to keep pace. We want you to have ice cream on the couch every night.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Was that Ryan Bradley? It might have been, because they was doing some amount of running for him as well. Like.
Anyway.
That's
Whale's there at home having a Haagen-Dazs on the couch as we speak.
That seems like the Ulster Championship is done anyway. We may as well. No point playing any more games. Fast forward to, judging by some of the previews, the All-Ireland champions
I don't think we
aren't even involved.
We're
not alone in that, Joe. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of disrespect in our master.
But the championship begins on Saturday when the All-Ireland champions
the championship does not begin for another 2 months.
take their bow.
David from Cork emailed in finally. Sitting here on this morning, sipping my Sunday morning coffee, 2 mornings.
Lovely.
Listening to Friday's show, and Conán nearly caused me to spit it out and or choke it.
Joe, don't do it. We've had a nice day.
For context, I enjoy listening to Conán. That's the main thing. That's the main thing.
Is there a bud coming here? I feel like there's
Sure
a bud
is.
coming.
Oh, we've got time for it.
I think he's a great listen.
Yeah.
But he says, my word, really? Really, Conán? Say that in a Roy Keane voice. Rashford's been an absolute disgrace and worse for 5 years. Pathetic attitude, toxic in fact. One decent season, was stupidly given a ridiculous contract, down tools the day after signing it. Walking around the pitch, literally less than half-hearted, missing training to go on the lash in Belfast, out celebrating his birthday the same night City walloped them. He's been toxic in that dressing room. Amram was 100% correct to bin him, the first manager to finally send him packing. Your good self and Ronan Joe were absolutely spot on in your assessment. There is not one genuine United fan who comes to games and wants him back ever again. Has Conán been captured by Henry Winter?
Have you? One word answer. Have you been captured by anyone?
Villa won't touch him with a barge pole. United will be picking up the tab again come August, sadly. Great stuff from yourself and Ronan. And Conán.
David.
And Conán, come on. Sad face. Love the pod, lads. Keep it up. Regards, Dave in Cork. There we go. That's all we have time for. You can't respond.
Dave in Cork.
I love a rap sheet.
Dave's had a hell of a weekend in Cork, has to be said.
Can you imagine? Yes, we're talking about all that with Ian Madigan and Marcus Rashford. Was there anything else? Oh, sorry, Jesus. And Rory O'Connor, not Marcus Rashford.
One word answer. If you could sign Grealish or Rashford in the summer, who would you sign?
Oh, hang on. 1,000. He still sends DMs to Grealish.
Can we talk about Ronan's one-word answer policy? Right?
No, that's cheap. You need to do better than that.
One word answer, Grealish or Rashford in the summer.
No, don't indulge it.
Who do you want?
We're not becoming a one-word answer. That's a hollow victory if he...
I just want who would you prefer in the summer?
Who would you prefer?
Can you book me in on Thursday
No.
for the post-PSG game?
No, I'm
No,
sorry.
but so you've got £40 million to play with. Seriously, who would you take, Grealish or Rashford?
Can I ask you a question before I answer?
No, we don't have time. One-word answer.
Can I ask you a question
No.
first? Is Grealish on the same wages as Rashford?
No, just take wages out of it. If you could place one of those players in the Villa squad, wages are not an issue.
Which Grealish?
No.
Current Grealish.
Just answer the question.
Current Grealish or current Rashford? I mean, we've already established current Rashford as dynamite.
No, but I mean, if you...
Current Grealish or current Rashford, who are you signing?
Different players.
I didn't ask that. Current Grealish.
Who else will be signing that window?
wrap it up,
window's
Joe.
gone.
Wrap it up.
That's a disgrace. Anything else from the weekend we should mention?
Did Armagh play this weekend today?
Who?
Saturday.
Sorry.
Thomas Muller is leaving Bayern Munich. It's a tough day for all the Bavarians. Yeah.
Just retiring or?
No, Bayern have looked at him and thought,
finally.
Yeah.
What a player.
Oh, what a player.
I remember being at the World Cup in 2014 watching Thomas Muller.
Oh, wow.
Be the leading goal scorer of that tournament. He said to me then, 11 years later, he'll still be at Bayern.
But even like he was
Amazing.
never the most languid mover, you know? He was a little bit like
Oh, he's a
stodgy.
he's a bizarre kind of a gate.
Yeah.
If you'd seen Muller running like that and didn't know he was, you'd think he's kind of all angles and the feet are a bit pointed 10 to 2. Like he doesn't look like a footballer.
The 2010 World Cup when Ozil and them lads come through, just they were class. Like, but he was moving back then like he's now. Like he hasn't deteriorated athletically, if you get me.
He never had athleticism.
Yeah, almost. But he always had this like erudite movement beyond his years. Like he'd arrive. Like the goal scorer thing was he was never dribbling past 6 players and pinging the top corner.
His head.
And yeah,
He'll be a manager, won't he?
yeah. So he's the Bayern the regime is, as you know, over the years layered and weird. Like there's executive boards and football boards, and there's no like we're getting into April, May now. So like they had to make a decision, and ultimately he's not signing a new deal. They've extended him to play in the Club World Cup, whatever that is. We'll see what that is in the summer. So he's going to hang around for that.
I think De Bruyne is doing something similar. Is there anything closer to home? I mean, I respect your
It's close to home for me.
Munich.
I don't know.
Anything more interesting?
Yeah, is there?
What are you talking about here?
Nothing else? I think that's it.
Oh, Ronan Boyce's overhead kick for Derry City the weekend. Didn't talk about that.
Friday's a long time ago now.
Yeah.
No, maybe that's it.
That's it, Joe.
Okay. Ian Madigan, Rory O'Connor in your feed. We'll be over to Conor McKeown in Georgia tomorrow, and then we'll see how the week pans out, I think. Right. Okay. Ronan Mullen, thank you very much.
Thanks, Joe.
Conán, thank you.
Thank you.